We shall flag off at 4 p.m. 2 minutes more to go to Chinwag over chai with Dr. Golda. Catch us live on Gaio Fitness on YouTube channel. Like I said, 2 minutes more to go. So please brace your seats today because we're going to have lots to talk and know from Dr. Vaz. A minute more to go and we flag off. Hello, everyone. I welcome all my viewers to our show, Chinwag over chai. A practicing, teaching psychologist, Goa-based Dr. Golda was a PhD holder. Her thesis was the impact of meditation on personality, emotional quotient, and well-being of college students. She did her master's in psychology from Goa University. Dr. Golda is a practicing psychologist. She will soon be teaching sports psychology for Goa Gaio Fitness Academy and Research Center. Based in Goa, she is a passionate teacher and writer in all matters relating to mental well-being, meditation, and science of psychology. Given her background of basketball in school and college, she has deep insight in sports psychology too. Today's pressure cooker times are full of horror stories of homicides, kids dropping out of school, drug abuse, etc. Golda will have a lot to speak of how we can manage trauma that is affecting children, their families, and society at large. Golda has experienced what it takes to be an athlete. It is not just physical and aerobic endurance, but the mental resilience that is at play. She has used her sporting and professional skills to develop her own thoughts on sports and performance psychology. A very warm welcome to Dr. Golda. Welcome, Dr. Golda.
Good evening, Ms. Jain. I'm extremely thrilled to be a part of this Chinwag.
Pleasure is all mine. Dr. Golda, please tell us about your journey as a psychologist and how did you end up pursuing psychology as a career?
Well, as a child, I was very curious about a lot of things. One being, why is this individual crying? Or why is this person behaving in a certain way? I had no idea what it was. I just thought they were upset maybe, or I just thought nothing too much about it. School went as normal, everything smooth. When I joined college, I was just basically experimenting with what I would be interested in. Well, my interest initially was law. I did want to pursue law, but something else was, at play here. The universe probably was at play here. And when I was looking at the subjects that I would be interested in taking up, I studied arts. I had economics, I had English to no way, because my literature, all of that, I said, too much of an Everest to climb. Economics also didn't interest me that much. And then I looked at the word psychology, and I went to my dad and I said, oh, what is this? What is this subject? Have you come across this before? And he said to me, Bai, psychology is the study of human behavior, understanding human behavior. And I said, now that is something I would want to know, why people behave the way they do. And if I have an insight, perhaps I can control people as well. So from there began my journey of
Yes.
studying psychology. Like I said, I just wanted to experiment. So when I went to my first psychology class, I was just blown away by how the teacher was, just by how she introduced the subject. And I said, this is what I want to do. I have been teaching since 2009, after completing my master's and my PhD. And since 2009 till what, 22, so roughly about 13 years of teaching experience, and I've come across so many different people of different ages, of different um, personalities, and it's lovely to interact with them. It's just now I believe that I can give something back to the society. Hence, that's my journey to psychology.
Dr. Golda, that was heartfelt. First thing, I really appreciate that parents today help children to move ahead and make the right choices. Well, I'm going to pour you with questions one after another. Are you ready for the Chinwag?
Braced myself for it.
All right. So here it goes. The first one is, what is psychology?
So, like I said, to put it very simply, psychology is the scientific study and understanding of human mind and behavior. Now, gaining an understanding of human behavior, understanding why they do certain things is not easy. You require an in-depth understanding of what the subject matter is. Now, psychology includes a variety of areas, a whole lot of areas. You have clinical psychology, which is dealing with people who have certain disorders specifically. You have cognitive psychology. Cognitive psychology deals with the different mental processes that we go through on a daily basis, like problem solving, decision making, certain judgments that we have to make about things around us, thinking, learning. These are all cognitive processes. So an understanding of the cognitive processes is also required. Then you have counseling. Counseling is also, you can think of it as psychological techniques where individuals may share their problem with a professional, and in turn, the professional will help them to reach a certain goal where their problem may be resolved. You also have psychology playing a role in healthcare today, and you have psychology playing a role in sports. You have psychologists in schools, in colleges, trying to understand the working of people from infancy to adulthood and even in old age. Why psychology perhaps is important is because it allows us to improve our communication skills.
Okay.
It helps us build good relationships with people. We can even cultivate the ability to learn more about research. What is research and how we go about it? How do we conduct experiments, etc. Also, helps us enhance our self-confidence and self-esteem, along with another array of positives when it comes to psychology. Yeah.
Okay, that was insightful. Moving on to our next question. Psychology counseling not too long was considered as being some sort of a therapy for mental disorder. So what is the reality now? How does the common man look psychology counseling today as?
Like you very rightly said, in the past, psychology and techniques related to psychology were mainly used to deal with people who have certain psychological disorders like schizophrenia, depression, mood disorders, personality related disorders. But today I feel that the idea of counseling and psychology is slowly changing, where people are becoming more accepting of a counselor. In the past, it would be like, if you disclosed that you went to a counselor, you went to a psychologist, people would think something is wrong with her, screw loose or something like that. Very insensitive remarks though. But today, I think people are being sensitized more. There is a lot of awareness of how much a professional can help you with problems. So people are warming up and people are being more accepting of counseling and psychology.
So if psychology counseling is being accepted more than earlier, what would you, what are the reasons behind it, if you can state? I mean, what is leading people to get counseling done for them or for their children or for their friends or relatives? What is it exactly?
In my opinion, I feel that counseling, there is just a general awareness, increased awareness about the subject, about what a psychologist does, what a professional, mental health professional does. You have World Mental Health Day, which is celebrated every year on 10th October. And there are so many activities. Schools and colleges conduct different activities. I'm specifying schools and colleges because I have been a part of colleges for a long time, almost a decade. So they have various programs to create awareness and increase awareness about mental health and different aspects of mental health, not just personality related problems. You have relationship related issues, you have identity related issues, you have achievement related issues. So many things that are spoken of on World Mental Health Day on 10th October. Then you also have your International Yoga Day, which is celebrated on 21st of June every year annually. Now, yoga and meditation also advocate for good mental health in a way. So you have that. Then there are several NGOs in Goa, national, outside of Goa, that are helping people to bust certain myths about mental health, the bad things that come with mental health, and to normalize mental health and the speaking of mental health. You have counselors in schools and colleges today, which are whenever there is a child who's having a problem, whenever there is a student who's encountering a problem, whether it is academic or personal, they know that they have a counselor who they can go at any time, who is available to them, even on call. So there is a lot of awareness, and I think accessibility now has increased to a mental health professional. This is the reason why I feel people are more now accepting of the concept of counseling.
Okay, so you mean to say that since you've done masters in psychology in relation to human resources, your doctorate was based on meditation, right? So I want you to share more in-depth knowledge that psychology, HR, and meditation, how are they interrelated?
I get asked this question many times. So I have my answer pura sorted. What happens now is when I decided to do my PhD, I was going through a lot of topics, and a lot of topics that were related to meditation, that were related to astrology and stars and all of that, numerology. All of these topics really were, I was very inclined towards these topics. So I had a whole list of topics that I went to my guide, and my guide picked meditation out of that. And he said, why don't you do meditation? Because if you read about meditation, and if you read about its techniques, different styles of meditation or different types of meditation, you even talk about yoga, you see that meditation has a lot of benefits in every area. It's not just when it comes to your personal life space, it also involves changes, positive changes, which are brought about in a workspace. I didn't think of how it would be connected to my specialization. But in time, I realized when I meditated that overall, I just felt more calm. I was able to make more informed decisions about problems that I might have encountered. And therefore, I feel that when an individual meditates on a regular basis, they become more self-aware. Their focus increases. And these are the things that you require to perform well at any workplace. Concentration increases. self-confidence increases, decision-making abilities increase. And therefore, I think in a way, meditation is related to or interrelated to HR, human resources.
Well, that was very good. Okay, now we are moving ahead towards which is really affecting the society and the youth. Moreover, there is no such age. It's more like a plague for our society. I am going to read out a very small article. It was precisely written on March 4th. Professor V. Ram Gopal Verma Rao, former director of IIT Delhi, wrote an article in Times of India about suicides in college campuses. We are seeing a spate of suicides on our premier academic campuses in India and an increase in mental health issues. The world over suicide is a terrible killer of young men and women. In 2019, as per the available statistics, 93,061 young adults died by suicide in India. In the US, in the same year, suicide emerged as second major cause of death in college-age students. And across the world, suicide is the second leading killer of women in the age group of 15 to around 44, and the fourth in men. We seem to know many things about suicides among students, but not enough to prevent them. Contrary to the general perception that most suicides are because of poor academic performances, suicides often involve multiple factors, such as relationship issues, lack of self-esteem, social isolation, fear of missing out, family problems, and mental health issues. During the pandemic, there were least of about 20% increase in suicidal tendencies on the campuses. When it comes to availability of counselors, psychiatrists, and other mental health services, these are much better now, of course, than earlier. But in reality, at least 5 times more suicides are prevented, though these processes in our top institutions than what occur. However, we need to do more. On the other hand, you completed your PhD in 2015 and you had anticipated such suicides. That was in 2015 and we are talking about 2019 as per the article. Am I right, Dr. Wiles? You seem to have, yes, like 8 years ago. So what do you think that the drives to suicides?
Even when I was a student, there were several cases of suicide among the friend circle, outside of the friend circle, people, it's a small community.
Yeah.
When you're a student, it's a small community. And every student from one institute will know someone or the other from another institute. And when you hear of such instances that, this person went ahead and ended their life, they died by suicide, you are speechless. You don't know what to think. As a student, you don't know what to think. You know that you're aware of certain aspects of their life. You might have not been an active part of every aspect of their life, but you were aware of certain aspects of their life, such as maybe that individual was going through relationships issues, girlfriend, boyfriend, breakup ho gaya, and then that is it. That is the end of the world. Okay. So one such reason I can think of, going back to my student days, is perhaps something went wrong in a relationship, in a romantic relationship. Also, what comes to my mind is self-esteem, lack of self-esteem. The way we see ourselves, what we believe our abilities are, what we are able to project to the society, that affects our performance in general. So if I see myself as a useless person, then I'm not going to want to do anything else. And the only solution I might see is ending my life. So I feel lack of or low self-esteem can also lead to death by suicide, you also have fear of failure. As a student, parents, I feel, teachers, they have a lot of expectations from you as a child. And sometimes you may fulfill those expectations, sometimes you may not be able to fulfill those expectations. Under such circumstances, oh my God, the realization of, oh my God, what is going to happen if I don't do well, or if I don't meet the expectations of my parents. You have, family pressure. Or I want to get A plus, I want to stand first, I want A grade. What happens if I don't get A grade? That fear of failure can be threatening to our existence in terms of our self esteem, again, in terms of our self confidence, detrimental to our self confidence. Now, this again, unfortunately, may be a reason or a cause for death by suicide. I remember back in the days in college, there were one or two of them who, who always said, "Arey yaar, mera exam acha nahi hua. What will happen if I don't get the marks? My parents to will kill me." Luckily, when you have a group of friends who can talk to you and say, "No, it's okay, don't worry, nothing, it's just an exam, it's not a big deal," they can help you get out of situations like that. Additionally, poor family environment can also be a cause for death by suicide. Broken homes, children coming from broken homes, parents are quarreling all the time. There is abuse that is taking place, child abuse as well as abuse, to the spouse. There's so much of fight, there's so much of inconvenience that is happening. The child just feels alone, lonely. A person may feel alone, lonely over several years of exposure to disturbed family life, can also lead to suicides. Depression, anxiety, these are known causes of suicide, because then when you're feeling extremely depressed, you're just isolating, you see no other way to vent out, you see no other way of coming out of the situation, and the only thing that you see is ending your life. Maybe if I didn't exist, these problems wouldn't exist. These are the thought processes that go on in I feel, in a person who might be contemplating suicide. You have substance abuse also that can lead to suicide. Rape is something no woman would want to go through. It is very traumatic, emotionally traumatizing, physically traumatizing, and you don't, it's as if you don't want to believe that you have been in that situation. You feel like everything is an individual may feel that everything is taken away from them. uh, Under such circumstances, when thoughts are clouding you, you don't see things clearly, you don't see the bigger picture, you only just see what is what has just happened to you and how to get out of it. So rape can be one reason. Then you have even bullying in schools and colleges. I think every college, every institute has a policy in place against bullying, against harassment. Nonetheless, it may still happen. It may still happen, and it can go to such an extent, whether it is body shaming, whether it is calling someone fat, whether it is calling someone thin, whether it is playing pranks on them. It can really affect your self-esteem to an extent that it does not exist. Confidence just does not exist. So these, I feel, could be reasons for increased rates in suicide among young adults, among adolescents. And also achievement, that I want to be the best. That could also be one of the reasons.
That was, I guess, the scariest part of about society, and I guess I am absolutely speechless, especially when it comes to, of course, rapes is I guess one of the most traumatizing abuse, whether it's mental or physical. I don't think any woman on earth can actually cope up with that trauma. No matter how much the external world that is outside of her tries to get her out of that trauma, I guess it is something very, very difficult for any woman to come out of it. But of course, yes, I would want to know from you, what are the chances of a woman going through that pain, and what are the chances of her coming out of it? Is something, I guess, very important for everybody to know. Um, of course, I mean, me, I feel like world has come to an end. The moment I get to hear a news, something like this, I feel the world has come to an end. Of course, I want to know, what are the chances of coming out of that trauma?
The chances, let me tell you, are very high. And I'll tell you why they're very high. They are very high because today we have access to professional help. When an individual is experiencing, a trauma such so grave as such, there is a process that they go through, and at the end of that process is when they are able to properly deal with what they are going through or what they have gone through emotionally, physically, mentally, etc. I have not gone through the same traumatic experience as rape, but I have gone through a traumatic experience. And being able to address the trauma, having being able to go to a psychologist and say, you know what, this is what I have gone through and I want to come out of it. You can have regrets, you will still have memories of the traumatic event, but once you go through therapy, once you go through a professional mental health, through a mental health professional, you will be able to live having gone through that trauma. So what is important is that I feel in my, you have gone through anything, you can't say what is more traumatic than the other. You can't pinpoint and say, oh, I went through more trauma than you, somebody else is going through more trauma. You can't differentiate, you can't just do that. But the moment you are experiencing trauma or a life event that you are finding very difficult to manage, unbearable, that is when I say you should go to a mental health professional, and they have the tools, they have the techniques to pull you out of it and make you extremely healthy.
My next question to this entire Chinwag, that is, I'm just relating my next question on the mental health. Let's say, for example, somebody is going through some mental issue. It can be anything for that matter. There are people who don't want to talk about it in the first place. They just want to keep themselves confined in that pain, you know what I mean to say? And they know they can come out of it. But what is that one thing, that one issue in their mind that they don't want to talk about it at all? What is it?
I think, that at a very young age, in general, we are taught that if we speak about our problems, then we are overdoing it. If we speak about emotions, we are overdoing it, be it men or be it women. As women, I think we are taught to suppress our feelings, that under any circumstances, you have to be a happy person. Under any circumstances, you should be able to deal with whatever life is throwing at you. Okay, if life is throwing lemons, you should be able to make lemonade anytime. Okay, as far as men are concerned, no. For men, I feel they are taught that sharing, talking about how you feel openly is a sign of weakness. You have very famous dialogues from movies, like, for example, I was just watching television earlier, and I saw this one thing where Amitabh Bachchan is chained and he said, "Mad ko dard nahi hota." Things like that. So you have all these kind of notions that you're brought up with, they're very subtly fed to us. It's not even directly said to us, directly also and very subtly as well, throughout our childhood, throughout our upbringing. So I feel that, instances like these stop us from going and seeking help.
Okay. So I'll go on to, will you say the quest for high achievement goals, the intense desire to stay ahead in the rat race, sedentary lifestyles also contribute to suicides?
Yes, I believe it does. Maybe not sedentary lifestyles, that is a little bit indirect, but achievement, yes. Wanting to be ahead in the rat race, like you said, yes, absolutely. You see, the world today is a very competitive place. And I strongly believe that. I mean, you can see it everywhere. If you're not at the top, considered successful by many. If you're not known, then you're not considered successful by many. And that to some people can be very disappointing. Okay, I thought I would have been the best in my field, but I'm not. Why am I not able to? Could I be doing something wrong? Is there something wrong in my approach? Am I not putting in a lot of effort? Let me tell you, you're putting in as much effort as you have. You're putting in your 100%. But there are circumstances in the environment that you have no control over. And things that you have no control over should not affect you. What you have control over is yourself. So the amount of hard work you're putting in, yes, but other things that may not lead you to achieve your goals may also be, a failure in the sense may be a roadblock in you achieving your goals. That if that is disappointing enough, yes, of course, it is going to be a reason, I believe, for suicides.
So is this applicable in the sports industry as well? Let's say, for example, somebody wants a gold medal and he or she cannot reach that level for some whatever reason. And over a period of time, this person sees herself or himself as an achiever and wants that gold medal each and every time they perform. And once or twice, one after another, they have this failure of from gold, they probably come as a runner-up or XYZ. And they again move up and end up their life. So why is this so traumatizing them? Here again, does the same thing apply over here?
Of course, when it comes to sports and other demanding careers where achievement is a criteria, definitely you can apply these conditions to these kind of demanding careers. But you know what? Here's the thing about psychology. The essence is individual differences. So, for example, an individual who is very achievement oriented, they will work hard, they will see their goal, they will achieve it, they will be okay with it. On the other hand, somebody who is probably not very achievement oriented, who plays a sport or who does a job for the satisfaction of it, may not be affected by that failure. But somebody who's extremely highly achievement oriented may be very disappointed by failure. So for such an individual, I think counseling would help better. It would be more helpful for them, because understand that again, failure is not internalized. You didn't fail because you didn't do well. You probably failed because there were other factors around you, environment, that stopped you from achieving your goal. Maybe there was an individual who was better than you at that sport, and that person won gold, you didn't win gold. For somebody who has doesn't have a very high achievement motivation, they are just there to enjoy their game. They are just there for the passion. They don't really, for them, gold medal doesn't really matter. And you don't really see people like that, I think, in my opinion, for gold medalists and all that. You generally have people more achievement oriented. Not the same for every individual under every circumstances. Each individual, in my opinion, will react, will respond same situation differently, considering their individual differences, considering their personalities.
So let's say, for example, how does, let's say somebody is an achiever. How does one comes to know that they need professional help? A lot of times they don't even realize that they need professional help. How do they come to know about it? Or is it you're going to say that it's the surrounding or the people around them, they realize it? How is it?
Mostly it is the people around them who realize it, who realize that there is a change in behavior. You know, when you're so much consumed by defeat, maybe, or, you know, so much consumed by something like such as failure, you are probably not able to see ahead. If you're completely clouded, right? Okay, there are people who are able to see through that and who understand that help, who understand that what they are stand that what the emotions that they are going through are unmanageable. They are not able to manage them. They are not able to move ahead. Okay, if there is awareness, then they will, you know, go seek help themselves. But many times they might not be self-aware. And might notice a change. Others around them might notice a difference in their behavior. They may be withdrawn, they may become a little more aggressive. It depends. It depends on the situation, it depends on the individual. So in that case, if somebody around them, like a friend or family or the coach, for example, notices a difference, then they can suggest they seek mental health. They can seek mental professional help.
Well, so how can mental training, meditation, and psychology techniques help manage this problem? I'll add another thing to it is, do you think it is important to add mental training in early child or schooling rather?
As a mental health professional, I advocate for it. I think, children, it should be age appropriate. You cannot be talking about mental health to a 5-year-old. They will not understand what is happening. You know, it's very subtle. In very subtle ways, you teach your child to be mentally tough, to be able to deal with certain situations positively. To give you an example, my child, my daughter, she's a very sensitive individual. You know, she understands her own emotions very well, as the emotions of other children around her. And if somebody who she's very protective of is being shouted at, or is being fired, or is being punished, she will stand up for this person and say, hey, why are you punishing this child? She's done nothing wrong. You know, so in I feel that, you know, if children are able to pick up on subtle cues, then it should be introduced at the school level. Children should be taught about psychology. Children should be, I feel, help, you know, they should understand what the subject matter is, so that they are able to not just manage themselves, but they are able to positively manage others as well. Coming back to what you asked about meditation and psychological techniques, definitely, I have been meditating, although not fairly regularly, but I have been meditating since 2010, actually, because that's when I registered for my PhD. And the technique I learned is called Atma Vidya Parishilana. It's a more spiritual take on meditation. It's inclined towards spirituality, but there are other techniques like visualization, guided meditation, and all these techniques of meditation talk of one thing, that you become one with the universe, that there is no difference between you and the universe. That what you are just a dot in the universe, basically, like a ribbon bow. Okay, you're the knot in the ribbon. The ribbon is the universe and you're that knot. You leave that ribbon, the bow, and where is the knot? It just disappears. It becomes one with the ribbon. So that is what meditation aims at, basically. But it also has several benefits, psychological benefits and physical benefits. It's known to improve your heart rate. It is known to improve your blood pressure. You can breathe better. All your lung related ailments may be taken care of. Stomach related ailments may be taken care of. Body aches, you don't suffer from body aches as much. Psychological effects of meditation, it helps you become a calmer individual. This you see your monks, Buddhists, they're very calm when they are responding to you. They are responding to you. They're not reacting to you. You ask them anything, you say them anything, they respond. That is because they are able to see through what you want to say, what you want to ask them, and they are able to respond to you. That is what meditation does. You are able to respond with a certain calmness, gentleness, confidence, even, and very grounded humility. It brings about all of these characteristics in an individual. These in turn then make you a better, I won't say better, an improved version of you. You were good yesterday, you will become improved tomorrow. Psychological techniques and how they can help, I'll give you an example. You have techniques such as REBT, rational emotive behavior therapy, one of the most effective therapies, cognitive therapies that I have come across, that I have known. This therapy basically aims at you being able to challenge all your irrational thoughts, irrational beliefs. For example, if someone calls you, you're useless. If someone says you're a useless person, you can't do anything. If you're self-aware and you know, I'm an intelligent person, I know that I'm good at this. If I'm good at this, does it make me really useless if somebody calls me useless? Perhaps not. So busting and challenging the irrational thoughts, irrational behaviors is the aim of REBT. Also, when an individual goes through this therapy, they develop three very key components of themselves. The first is unconditional self-acceptance. Means you accept yourself with all your flaws, with all your positives, negatives, everything. You know about yourself very well, and I accept myself wholeheartedly. The second is unconditional others acceptance. Accept them just the way they are. No asking them to change, no bringing about any difference in them. Influence them, yes, maybe, but accepting them as they are, because they are individuals who have their own mind. They are individuals you have no control over. You have control over yourself. That's it. And the third is unconditional life acceptance. To understand that life is not a bed of roses. You are going to have thorns in the way. You are going to have people who are going to put you down. You're going to have people who are going to raise you up. Accepting every situation that life has to throw to you, because you're not a special being. You're not a queen or king of somewhere. You're just a normal human being that has to go through all of life's experiences. So yes, absolutely, in a way, meditation, psychological techniques, equip you with an array of techniques to deal with your problems.
That's lovely. So meditation, of course, plays a very important role in psychology. Of course, meditation plays a very important role, like you said, and you explained also. There is one important question relating to meditation now. Is, of course, meditation is coming from thousands of years now. But there was a patch in between that meditation was not accepted as a matter of fact that, okay, it will calm the people down. But suddenly I see a lot of people meditating, and there is a lot of meditation happening everywhere. There are groups of people who invite each and everyone to join their group and meditate. What would you want to say that why is there a hype of meditation and how did that happen suddenly?
I think that it has been, meditation has been, yoga and meditation has been uh, around for forever, thousands of years, I believe. Uh, in the past, Indians were practicing yoga and meditation in different ways. It was probably not called yoga and meditation in their head, but yeah, in different ways, they were practicing yoga and meditation. Uh, we are, as individuals, very influenced by the Western countries. So whatever the Western countries are doing, we want to do that. When jeans came into the picture, everybody wanted to wear jeans. When dresses came into the picture, everybody wanted to wear dresses. You have all these things that are in vogue, probably because of the influence of the Western culture. So when the Western people picked it up, I think that's when it became very hyped up. And rightly so, because there are so many benefits to yoga and meditation. And only now I think the Indians are understanding that, oh, the Western people are following it, why shouldn't we? And then we realized, oh, it has been followed for decades and centuries by our own Indian people. Why did we let go of it earlier? Such treasures, So I just think it's that.
Okay. So Dilip Heble of Gaio Fitness Academy and Research Center always speaks of the need for trauma management across India's society. How do we how do we walk towards the goal?
I think that there should be more, I feel, more trauma care units. I'm not talking about, like in the medical field as such, not in the hospitals as such, but programs, support groups that can help people psychologically deal with trauma.
Mm-hmm.
I think there is a lack of these kind of society. I'll call it a society, or I'll call it a community, where people don't know where to go and what to do. You only have your maybe trauma management when it comes to your physical injuries. That is, you go to the doctor, you go to the hospital, and you take care of that. But what about psychological trauma that an individual may go through? There are very less opportunities, I feel, to address those, and therefore I feel there could be more support groups, more forums, government or non-governmental organizational forums that can deal with psychological traumas.
Okay, so is there a difference between psychiatrist and a psychologist?
Absolutely. So let me tell you, it's very basic. Okay, a psychiatrist is an individual who studies MBBS. He's a doctor. They are a doctor. They are able to prescribe medication to you, along with therapies, of course, but they are able to prescribe medication for you. That is the biggest difference. A psychologist is an individual professional who has not done MBBS. Okay, they're not a doctor, but they're able to use an array of psychological techniques to help you to get you out of a traumatic situation. So a psychiatrist is essentially like a doctor. A psychologist may or may not be a doctor.
Okay.
Cannot prescribe medication.
Okay. How does gender difference plays a role in dealing with trauma?
Men and women are very different people. Whether it is, whether it comes to their physical appearance or their minds. I think men and women are wired very differently, although the intensity of trauma experience or traumatic events experienced may be equal for both men and women. I mean, what excludes a man from going through a traumatic experience? What excludes a woman from going through a traumatic experience? Nothing. It's life at the end of the day. So men and women both go through traumatic experiences. However, the way in which they deal with those traumatic experiences, there is a difference. Men generally tend to externalize their experiences. Men become more aggressive. Okay, men may become more aggressive, they become more angry, they may have bursts of anger episodes. They could they isolate themselves, they don't want to talk about what they are going through. They don't want to talk about the pain that they're going through, they don't want to talk about the emotions that they're going through, so they isolate, they withdraw from things around them. They avoid only dealing with the situation.
Yeah.
They just don't want to deal with it because it's, I don't know, it's maybe too much to handle for them. Because like I said, men, as they are growing up, they are taught if you cry, if you express yourself, you're considered weak. So they don't want to share, they just avoid the whole thing. And in the end, they may even refuse treatment altogether, because again, going for treatment is admitting that you're weak. And being weak is, I don't know, it's not acceptable in the Indian society. A man going and expressing himself is not considered okay in the Indian society, I believe. Women, on the other hand, they internalize everything. They have intrusive thoughts. The kind of emotions, negative emotions that they feel would be guilt, shame, more than anger, more than aggression. They would feel guilt and shame. They would have more self-destructive thoughts. So that is the reason why you might have more women committing suicides compared to men. Not that men don't, but it's more women, because it is internalized. Everything is my fault, I have not done this, I have not done that, and therefore there is nothing else to do. I might end my life myself. Then even depressive episodes are higher in women than men. And loss of interest in the activities that they enjoy doing. They may even have lack of emotions, they just might go emotionally numb. So in this way, men and women are different in dealing with trauma. Men externalize, women internalize.
So that's one of the major difference between men and women in terms of how to deal with trauma.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Or how they
the
process
more,
it.
the more and more it is internal, it leads to more traumatic behaviors and patterns, and which leads to destruction. Whereas men, they have their letouts in their own way that they want to.
Yeah.
Can we state the difference between emotional abuse, physical abuse, and maybe amputation? These are different types of trauma. How does someone process these trauma?
See, trauma in itself, I mean, whether it is abuse, psychological, sexual, emotional, or whether it is amputation or any other kind of traumatic experience, is life threatening. I mean, it threatens your very existence. The effects of a traumatic experience can be lifelong, can remain with you forever. But it can also, you can also get out of that traumatic experience given proper guidelines, given proper healthcare, help with healthcare, mental health care. However, understanding the kind of effects that a traumatic experience can have, it is first important to to understand what are the stages, how an individual processes a traumatic experience, in order to understand and move forward and come out of that traumatic experience, come out of that traumatic event, because it is life threatening. You cannot remain in that zone forever, because if you remain in that zone forever, you will be a changed individual completely. The existence of you will be different. So what happens when an individual goes through a traumatic experience? Abuse, yes. There is abuse. Let's say you said amputation, right? Let's say amputation is a loss of a certain ability, maybe a loss of ability to walk or loss of ability to use your hands, arms. Uh, Loss of any kind can lead to grief. Okay, loss of any kind will lead to grief. Now again, I'm repeating, whether it is grief, whether it is abuse, whether it is a loss of a loved one, uh, every individual processes this trauma in a certain way. I mean, the stages are the same, but the intensity will differ from person to person. So what happens first when an individual experiences a traumatic event is that they will go through denial. That is their first stage, that this has not happened to me. I refuse to accept what has happened to me. I refuse to accept what has happened to me, one, because initially it softens the blow. Because what has happened to me, whether it is an amputation, whether it is abuse, whether I've lost somebody important, significant, immediately I will not be able to cope with that change. So denial acts as a defense mechanism in a way. It softens the blow to the reality of what has happened. Now once you don't remain in this denial stage forever. It's a short phase, and you probably will quickly move on to the next stage. The next stage is anger.
Okay.
Why has this happened to me? What did I do wrong?
Okay.
So you are having very negative emotions about the event that has taken place, you're angry about the injustice that has taken place to you. The injustice that has happened to you, you're angry about that. Why me? Why did it have to be me, or couldn't it be somebody else?
Mhm.
So that is your next stage of processing grief or processing a traumatic event. Anger also is a very natural response to any traumatic event. And when you move past anger, the picture becomes a little more clear, and the reality of what has happened to you starts to hit you. So now, I mean, again, it depends on from individual to individual how long they will harbor a certain emotion, such as anger. Once they move on from anger, we go to the next stage, which is the bargaining stage. Now, bargaining, no, is you are trying to change uh, things that have happened to you. What I mean by change is that you're saying, God, I wish this didn't happen to me. I wish I can turn back time. What if? And then you go into what if scenarios. What if I had not done what I usually do today? What if I had done something differently? What if I had shouted? What if I had screamed? It would have, I would have not gone through this. So this is your bargaining stage. The fourth stage is depression. Now the first three stages are little active stages. You're actively involved in thinking about what the event is. But depression was a more slow stage. It pushes you in isolation. You lack interest in doing anything. You're withdrawn. You might become irritable, you might become angry, but you're still quieter, and you constantly might have intrusive thoughts about what has happened to you. And then the last stage is acceptance. After going through all of these stages, finally you come to the most positive aspect of processing. Now the processing has already taken place once you reach acceptance. Okay, now this has happened to me. You're able to process your emotions. Now you're able to seek help. This is the space, this is wherein, acceptance space is when you're able to seek help. However, I say that at any stage of these five, any of these five stages, if you feel uncomfortable, if you feel you're not able to manage your emotions, if you feel you're stuck, you should seek medical help.
Okay. What is body shaming? And does that also is that also very traumatizing? And what are the causes for body shaming?
I think body shaming is detrimental to mental health. It's detrimental to one's self-esteem, because it does not see, as we grow up, there are certain realizations that come to us. And one of the bitterest realization that comes to us is the fact that we are being judged by others, that our appearance is being judged by others. And that's not a nice feeling. When you're walking on the street and somebody looks at you, you can just see, you can just by their expressions, you're probably assuming 1,000 things that they're thinking about. It's not a very nice feeling. Am I looking funny? Am I looking too fat? Am I looking too thin? It's very rampant, in the society today. The root causes for body shaming, I think, is the one who bullies you is insecure himself or herself. They themselves are insecure about how they look, and therefore they're projecting it on somebody else. Okay. And another reason for body shaming could be, I'm saying good intentions. Okay. Now, how good intentions? You're probably thinking, how good intentions? Family members, they say, "Arey, you're so thin. Thoda zyada khao, eat more. Your parents not giving you anything to eat. Chalo, you need to eat more." Or this is what I was told, because I was always very thin and skinny as a child. I was never healthy. I was never a healthy person, like look wise, it's not chubby. Or if somebody is eating, if somebody looks healthy and chubby, they say, "Oh, you need to exercise." Now, with these good intentions come lack of awareness. Lack of awareness in terms of they've stepped the line, or that this individual could be going through something medically which is causing their weight to increase dramatically or decrease dramatically. So you don't realize that you're offending them. Very immature thoughts, I feel. That you feel that you can just go and tell somebody, "Oh, put on weight. Oh, you need to lose weight," without understanding how it can affect their self-esteem. So I feel these are the few another important is societal norms. We have very standard description perfect body should be, a perfect physique should be, and what comes in that perfect description of body does not come is considered not normal, obese, thin, whatever. So yes, these are the reasons I feel, or causes of body shaming.
So can we put it like this, that uh, the flexibility or the understanding has shortened in everybody's mind to understand that my body is absolutely fine no matter what the size is? Let's say, for example, if I put on 5 kilos today and somebody comes and tells me, "Oh, Anuja, you have put on so much, you look so fat." So is it not like each and every individual who is receiving it and who is giving it has lost the patience or the understanding of acceptance, basically? Do you Can we blame it on the media also today, as in if we look at the films that and the leading people on the screen, are they adding it to the impatience or not understanding or not accepting people as they are?
I think they play a major role in the non-acceptance of body types. I admire Vidya Balan. I admire her because I love the way I am. If I've put on weight, I love the way I am. If I've lost weight, I love the way I am. The important thing here is that unconditional self-acceptance. This is what I'm talking about. Unconditional self-acceptance. You know your flaws. If somebody calls you fat, it does not make you a terrible person, does it? No, it does not. Not judging yourself is important. just an individual who has, yes, they are of a certain weight or not of a certain weight, but not undermining yourself and not putting yourself down because the society says you should be of a movie industry say that you have to be of a certain type to look beautiful. So yes.
I hope we're not going to get trolled because we took Bollywood's name here. So I just hope. But anyway, how can we, in fact, control this trauma, which I guess is rising as with each passing day? How can we take care of it?
Here I will say that you need to, if it's bothering you so much that it is affecting your self-confidence, that it is not letting you go about your daily lives, that you're unable to manageable, need to seek professional help.
Dr. Vaz, whatever you
Yes.
said, when you started talking about this particular question, you were cracking up. Can you say all of it again?
Can you hear me now? Am I a
Yes.
little more clear?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm experiencing some internet related issues, technology, can't really do anything. Yeah, I will repeat what I said. I said that experiencing that is unmanageable. Am I audible or breaking? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Am I clear now?
Yes.
Right. I was saying that if you're going through something that is unmanageable, the result of a low self-esteem, a low self-confidence, that you're judging yourself constantly, but you understand and you're aware that you're judging yourself constantly. You're aware that it is leading to frustration, that it may be leading to anger, and not able to daily chores, conduct your functions, then I say one should, for anything, one should go and seek professional help. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It doesn't have to be a big thing. Even if you're scared that you might fail in your exam, it's not a big deal. Failure is the stepping stone to success. But even if you feel that it is affecting you terribly, then you should do something about it. Then you should seek professional help. And these mental health professionals are able to equip you with techniques to deal with problems as such, simple and even more drastic, even more terrible than the ones that we mentioned earlier.
That was great, Dr. Vaz. I'm very thankful for you coming in for this small chinwag over chai. Of course, we did not have chai though, but yeah, we just have the cup. I thank you for sharing such in-depth knowledge on how to tackle. I don't want to use the word patience over here. Those beings who need some help, let's say for example they might just want to talk to somebody and just let it out of them. I guess this is something very important, that in today's life everybody is missing that one person in their life who have them by their side to share things with on an emotional bond. I guess it's very low in today's date. And as we see that it is going down as per each passing day, the help that we seek from the professional is not that somebody is mentally sick. So I would want, probably what I have understood today is, if I'm emotionally down, if I want to speak to a psychologist, my friends or my relatives or my family shouldn't say that Anuja is mentally sick. She just needs somebody to talk to begin with, as starters. To tackle with trauma in terms of very serious ones, like we've discussed, is something which also needs medication, of course. There are different stages that I guess the only psychologist can handle it and not people. So I believe that people should help each other in terms of, if they need a professional help, they should not bog them down. They should, in fact, appreciate the fact that they should go and take the help or seek help. I thank you so much, Dr. Vaz, for joining us today and enlightening us what psychology is and why is it so important in today's life. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Jain, for giving me this opportunity to use your platform to share what I learned as an individual, as a professional. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you and participating.